My name is Brian Skrobonja, and on this episode of the Common Sense Financial Podcast. If your loved one owned a small business or professional practice, a discussion with business partners and clients may be necessary, as well as consulting with the company attorney who has advised the business. If there is a child in college, it may be a good idea to contact the financial aid office to inform them of what has happened. Depending on the school and the financial situation, the surviving child may qualify for more assistance.
Well, hey, everybody, and thank you for listening and joining us today. We hope that this podcast can provide you with some insights to help you grow and get closer to your goals this year. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. That way you'll be notified about new content and you'll be able to listen to Brian tackle a variety of different topics. So you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, pretty much anywhere that podcasts can be found, and all the links to subscribe as well as past episodes are available on the website at brianskrobonja.com. So thanks again for tuning in, and let's get started.
Opportunities are still there.
The attempt at passing down wealth from generation to generation.
Consider the outcome, not just popular opinion.
And the whole teaching there is about preparedness and being ready.
There's a difference between what's real and what's true.
You're listening to the Common Sense Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Skrobonja. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get into today's topic. The loss of a loved one can be an overwhelming experience, and to make matters worse, through the grief, there are important decisions that have to be made. Having a clearly defined process in place for managing an estate can help avoid the emotional drain of making important decisions. Of course, it's completely natural for emotions to run high when a loved one passes and to have some confusion around what to do and when to do it. And when you are in this type of situation, it is all too common to have well-intentioned friends and family members who want to come out and support you and care for you, offering you their opinion and advice. And while this can be helpful at times, the downside of acting on this information without a well-thought-out plan can potentially lead to problems and regrets after everything is said and done. There may be a sense of urgency to settle the estate, but it's important to be mindful of the fact that this is not a process that should be rushed. An executor is acting as a fiduciary, and you are likely working through a lifetime of someone's financial life. With that, you will want to ensure the estate is settled properly, which can only be accomplished with a well-thought-out plan and process to follow. I often recommend working through this process in steps to help avoid many of the common problems that may surface when attempting to take on too many things too quickly. Setting some expectations for yourself and the beneficiaries of the estate is a great first step to help minimize the confusion and questions around how long it will take to settle the estate. This process can take anywhere from 2 months to several years, depending on the type of assets that are owned and the size and complexity of the estate. Inevitably, there will likely be somebody in the mix of people you are communicating with who has their own expectations of how long this process may take, and getting out in front of this will save a lot of time and a lot of energy. To help you navigate through the important decisions you need to make and provide clarity about what needs to be done, you can download a checklist I put together titled A Checklist to Help Manage the Loss of a Loved One. I will place a link to this in the show notes. One of the first contacts you'll make is to a funeral home to arrange a viewing, cremation, or burial in accordance with the wishes of the deceased. Now, you have likely already done this, but you should know that the funeral home director will often help obtain death certificates. Of course, you will need these before any claims can be filed, which will most often require originals. Once submitted, you may not get these back, so it's always a good idea to request maybe 10 or 12 original documents to have on hand as you work through submitting death claims. And if the funeral home director, for whatever reason, cannot assist you with this, you can always call or email the county clerk or the recorder for assistance. Before rushing to check things off your list and quickly make decisions, it's important to first locate the deceased will, trust, or other estate documents they have on file. If none of these exist, you could have difficulty settling a person's estate, which will most likely require an attorney to assist you through the probate process. You will want to check to determine if the person may have left a letter of instruction behind. A letter of instruction is not a legal document, but it's a letter that can provide more personal intentions and information regarding an estate. It's important to begin gathering an itemized list of all known financial institutions where money is held and life insurance companies for filing a claim. It's a good idea to put the list together before jumping into making calls because you'll want to keep track of phone conversations and other instructions. A really good practice is to keep a journal of all the conversations or even an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of everything. You'll really want to avoid the method of wanting to write on the back of envelopes or scrap pieces of paper that can really become unmanageable and just add to the confusion. One of the things to think about is that some checks received for the estate may be payable to the deceased and therefore will require a bank account to deposit the money. If you get too far out ahead of yourself in this process and end up closing an account, you could find it a little bit more difficult to cash the check. You will want to notify Social Security that a death has occurred, as well as any pension provider, to have payments stopped and any eligible benefits paid to the estate. To do this, you will need their Social Security number. If you're uncertain about what to do, you can always contact the Social Security office for further assistance. If your loved one served in the military, you may be eligible for veterans benefits. You can get more information about these benefits by visiting www.va.gov. If they receive pension benefits, you would need to contact the provider to inform them of what has happened and receive instructions for filing the claim and learning about any survivor benefits. Now, over the next 1 to 3 months, you will want to be screening incoming mail, both physical and email, to look for and gather bills, statements, and notices relating to various types of accounts and insurance policies. You will want to review credit card statements to identify subscriptions or other recurring charges, to follow up with the service providers about cancellation. Notify creditors and credit card companies that were part of your loved one's credit history. Creditors may want to know when existing debts will be paid, either by you or your loved one's estate. You can notify the big 3 credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, of their passing, which can usually be done online, over the phone, or by letter. You will want to locate where they filed important documents to find deeds, titles to real estate, car titles or lease agreements, as well as storage space keys and account records. And lastly, look for a computer file or printout with digital account passwords. Prior to many people's passing, some family members may try to centralize all this information or state where it can be found. You will want to log into known social media platforms to disable accounts if applicable. If the person was still working, contact the Human Resources Office at their place of work to inform them of what has happened. The HR officer may need you to fill out some paperwork pertaining to retirement plans, health benefits, and compensation for unused vacation time. If your loved one owned a small business or professional practice, a discussion with business partners and clients may be necessary, as well as consulting with the company attorney who has advised the business. If there is a child in college, it may be a good idea to contact the financial aid office to inform them of what has happened. Depending on the school and the financial situation, the surviving child may qualify for more assistance. There are many opportunities here for mistakes when attempting to transfer assets out of the estate. Before rushing into this process, you should consider speaking with their financial advisor and attorney. Investment, retirement plans, brokerage accounts, and insurance policies should have beneficiaries or transfer on death instructions. If your loved one died without a will, you may need assistance learning how the probate process will work and to what degree you might become liable if your loved one had any outstanding debt obligations. This is an area where it may be best to work with an experienced financial professional team to learn about the possible tax implications of inheriting these assets. A financial professional can help update the financial plan based on available benefits and can discuss changes in the short term while managing any long-term needs. They can also guide you on state and federal taxes that may be owed before distributing assets out to the estate. Working through this with the assistance of a professional team of advisors can help minimize the complexity and support you with the responsibility you have for settling the estate of your loved one. If you're searching for an experienced team to help guide you through this process, you can always request assistance by our team by reaching out to us on our website at skrobonjafinancial.com. That concludes today's show. I am Brian Skrobonja. Thank you for listening to the Common Sense Financial Podcast. Thanks for listening to today's show. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and Spotify so that you can receive notifications when we release new episodes. I'm Brian Skrobonja, and this is the Common Sense Financial Podcast.
Well, thank you for listening to the Forbes Top 10 rated Common Sense Financial Podcast. Before you go, I want to encourage you to jump over to brianskrobonja.com to access the full archive of blogs and podcasts. And if you want to be the first in line to get new content, you can sign up for free on the Brian Skrobonja website as well. If you're not following Brian on all the social channels, we'd love to have you join in on the conversation. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, he's there. Lastly, if you've enjoyed listening to today's podcast, or if you have found value in any of our content, help spread the word by sharing our videos, podcasts, and posts wherever you get them. We greatly appreciate it and are glad that you took the time to join us today. Securities offered only by duly registered individuals through Madison Avenue Securities, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through Skrobonja Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Tax services offered only through Skrobonja Tax Consulting. Mass does not offer billed banking or tax advice. Skrobonja Financial Group, LLC, Skrobonja Wealth Management, LLC, Skrobonja Insurance Services, LLC, Skrobonja Tax Consulting, and billed banking are not affiliated with Mass. Skrobonja Wealth Management, LLC is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients and prospective clients where Skrobonja Wealth Management, LLC and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Billed banking is a DBA of Skrobonja Insurance Services, LLC. Benefits and guarantees are based on the claims-paying ability of the insurance company, not FDIC-insured. Results may vary. Any descriptions involving life insurance policies and its use as an alternative form of financing or risk management techniques are provided for illustration purposes only, will not apply in all situations, may not be fully indicative of any present or future investments, and may be changed at the discretion of the insurance carrier, general partner, and/or manager, and are not intended to reflect guarantees on securities performance. The term billed banking, private banking alternatives, or specially designed life insurance contracts are not meant to insinuate that the issuer is creating a real bank for its clients or communicating that life insurance companies are the same as traditional banking institutions. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation of any specific product or service. Billed banking is offered by Skrobonja Insurance Services, LLC only and is not offered by Madison Avenue Securities, LLC. Our firm is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by the third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by our firm. References to billed banking, private banking alternatives, or specially designed life insurance contracts are not meant to insinuate that the issuer is creating a real bank for its clients or communicating that life insurance companies are the same as traditional banking institutions. This material is informational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation of any specific product or service. Billed banking is not FDIC insured. Billed banking is offered by Skrobonja Insurance Services, LLC only, and is not offered by Madison Avenue Securities, LLC, nor Skrobonja Wealth Management, LLC.